I was astonished at how little people actually understood insurance and how much value and the importance it was to have coverage, but the right coverage. Build that bond. It's going to go a lot farther than just one policy. You can go online, get insurance direct to consumer. Do you know what you just bought? You realize when you have a claim, and then it's too late.
All right, listeners, you are tuned in for our next customer-focused episode of Connected Conversations. I am Carrie Thornbrew. I am the Customer and Partner Marketing Manager at Canopy Connect. And I'm here with a very exciting guest, Victoria Ardito, I've just been so impressed by your enthusiasm and the time that we've gone back and forth communicating with our discussion topics. You seem so genuinely enthused to talk about insurance, but also to teach me, because as our listeners know by now, I am new to InsurTech. I'm new to the insurance industry. And so I'm just a sponge here to learn from you. So I'm really excited for you to be here. Thanks.
Well, I am honored to have this opportunity, and I promise I am here to educate, inform, guide. I love it all.
Before we get started with more in-depth questions, I want to know, and I want our listeners to know, what is your current role right now, where you're working, and what your title is. But more importantly, what I really want to know is how you got your start in insurance, because I think that can really open up a lot of possible discussion topics. So yeah, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. So I'm in the industry 14 years. I currently have been working here at Insurance Office of America for the past 2 years. But I got in the industry originally by walking into a mom and pop agency years and years ago to get my auto quoted. I left there as their receptionist, and very quickly did I take to this industry. No matter where I've worked over this time frame, I have always advanced in my career. I went from receptionist to customer service to producer, agency manager. I even worked on the executive staff for one of the largest franchises in Florida, which has given me so much knowledge of how this industry operates, from not only a sales aspect, but also from the operational behind the scenes aspect as well.
Okay, so you walked in, you were just trying to get a quote. Do you have is somebody else in your family working in insurance? You're just you didn't know anything about this industry. You just knew you needed it for your car. And
I needed to have my car insured so I could drive. That's it.
Wow, how funny.
Yes.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall in that. Did you have to leave a job to just start this new one at the insurance agent?
I was ready to work I was working in restaurants prior. And
Okay,
I was
gotcha.
it's time to grow up. I need an office job.
Wow, I love that. That is kismet.
And who knew it would be my career?
Right. And so, okay. And then my follow-up is your experience sounds incredibly valuable. I mentioned a moment ago, I'm new to the industry. What I think that I can kind of bring to the table with my peers is a customer, right? A consumer perspective, right? Because I actually, before starting, had to go through the whole homeowner insurance, prospect sort of experience. So I can offer that, remember everybody, the consumer, right? That's me. But wow, you literally have done everything from start to finish.
And that's important to know all the different point of views and aspects of the industry and how it's received so that you can best present and advise.
Can you pinpoint what it was that sparked your passion with working within the industry? Was there a moment to pinpoint, or was it gradual over time? Okay, tell us.
My passion in life in general is wanting to help people. And so when I started out as the receptionist and I'm overhearing these conversations that the customer service reps and agents were having, I was astonished at how little people actually understood insurance and how much value and the importance it was to have coverage, but the right coverage. So that's where my passion for this came was, wow, there's people need to be educated, but it has to be done the right way because let's face it, if you just rattle off definitions, it can be boring.
I'm really glad you mentioned that because that has been a through line I've noticed for this season of my my interviews. Is there seems to be a common thread here of people in your position, which is having a genuine desire to help people and educate people. I would say also is a foundation. Like you're in many ways you're like a teacher,
and that's how I see it.
And how do you? So okay, I know you have evolved in your different roles within the industry. Your current role. Tell me your title again.
So I'm an insurance, personal lines insurance advisor with Insurance Office of America.
And you've been in this particular role for how long?
With Insurance Office of America, 2 years.
Has anything changed in the 2 years? Like, I think I'm bringing this up because a lot of our guests have expressed, I guess, sort of like, well, not just our guests, but right, like we're in a rapid age of technology, right? Things are changing rapidly, and so I'm interested to hear, like, at least in your current role, right? In the last 2 years, have you noticed changes? What is evolving in your role right now?
To clarify, I have been an advisor at other agencies, so I mean, overall, I would say it's solid 10 years of selling insurance, and the evolution is incredible. In general, this is an industry that's always going to be forever evolving. I started in an industry that the market was extremely soft up until the early, 2020, around that area, where we had such a several years of challenging issues ranging from fraudulent claim activity to companies going insolvent. That really hardened the market. Companies pulled out, and now it's softening again. So now we have more companies coming back into Florida. And so with that evolution and where we are currently, we're now back in a state where we have a lot of companies, a lot of markets to shop, and all of them are offering something different to try to make their product, their company stand out. So again, this is just an ever evolving industry where you never know what is going to be coming out tomorrow, a week from now, a month from now. You have to stay on top of it. And I think that's also what makes it so exciting.
That's okay. You know what? I think that's a really good perspective to have, right? Because you could be panicked, right? But as we know in life and history, things are cyclical, right? You said you have experienced this before, you got through it. And so let's talk a little bit more about that shift, right? Like, especially, I know you said you're in Florida, so everyone is trying to differentiate themselves and offer different things. So like what are the most interesting ways, I guess, you're seeing people, or, whether it's agents, carriers, whatever, try to adjust to their growth strategies, like in this current softening market, or what are they offering to try to differentiate themselves to stand out?
The biggest thing is this new InsurTech world. That's our evolution. That's the direction the industry and a lot of industries are going in. So companies are really embracing it. I think it's wonderful. You have to really understand it and be able to explain the importance of it to clients. But ways to answer your question that companies are trying to differentiate themselves. I know of companies that give each policyholder, they have a free leak detection kit, which is advanced technology that didn't exist years ago, but it's a product that helps mitigate water loss claims.
Especially right in Florida, obviously, right? Like you're surrounded by water.
Well, this is in-house, like pipe burst in your wall, leak underneath your kitchen sink, and the device will notify your phone, just like a Ring camera system.
Yes.
And this way you can act faster. But now companies are starting to follow in that trend. So it's become a across the board, just about every company offers it as a discount, just like having a monitored alarm system. So
Oh,
companies
right.
are really
Okay.
embracing this new technology because it's a fantastic way to mitigate losses.
Yeah, absolutely. They keep upping the ante.
They do. Insurance companies, people forget that this is a business. They must remain profitable. How do you do that? By educating and steering clients, policyholders in the direction of ways that they can better maintain, prevent losses from occurring.
Yeah. I wanted to touch on that because you said a lot of it is yes, you're leveraging InsurTech, right? Technology in general to kind of differentiate yourself. But when you started answering that question, you said a big part of that is educating and making the customer feel comfortable with that as well. So can you speak a little bit more about that? Like, do you get pushback from clients, or is this also a confusing time for clients and prospects? And what does the process kind of look like when you kind of take their hand and walk them along, like with this change as well?
I have found that my clients are very receptive to learning about this. However, from an advisor position, it takes time to explain. You have to give examples. People ask me to send them, different types and brands and where can I buy it and, how does it work? So that's also, I love doing that, educating, like I said. However, that is that's taking away a lot of time or consuming a lot of time that we spend talking to our clients. So that's another area where in this InsurTech industry, Canopy Connect plays a crucial role in freeing up the time that I spend with clients with just basic data gathering. So that now I can spend that time instead of getting, 16 character VIN numbers from 5 different vehicles. I don't have to use that time anymore gathering that information. I can spend it discussing coverages, discussing different, products that are available on the market to help prevent losses. And, so it's about having that time available to bond, connect, educate, inform.
If your insurance agency staff is still spending hours a day on manual data entry, you aren't just losing time, you're losing money. The modern agency isn't built on paperwork, it's built on automation. Canopy Connect is the industry-leading platform that automates your insurance intake. From personal lines to complex commercial loss run summaries, Canopy Connect pulls verified data from 400 carriers instantly. It integrates seamlessly with the tools you already use like PL Rating or EasyLinks, so your team can focus on what they do best, selling and building relationships. It's time to level up your workflow. Go to usecanopy.com/intake or click the button below and discover why the top performing agencies in the country trust Canopy Connect to power their growth. Faster quotes, better data, more wins. That is Canopy Connect, the complete insurance intake platform.
You said that your customers are receptive. Mm-hmm. Do you ever get pushed back with this sort of kind of technological boom with like some clients, or for the most part, do you find they're like, well, this is happening in other parts of our life as consumers?
It's how you educate. So no, I don't have pushback. I can't even tell you, how many clients that, again, I write them with a company that isn't giving the product away to them for free. But when I explain to them the importance, the advantage, what product offers, they see the value right there. So it's all in how you explain it. Every day I have clients that have losses. It's sharing and making them aware of, water heaters don't just leak. they can burst.
Oh, yeah.
The damage isn't just, a subtle, no, it can, in the
Right.
blink of an eye, turn to a catastrophic loss. And when you really put that into perspective, they understand, okay, this is the importance of, we don't want to ever be in that situation. What measures can we take to try to prevent that from happening?
Do you find that consumers now, are you finding there is a desire for them to understand their coverage better and for it to be less? Yeah, because again, my experience as a consumer, and I don't know if it's because you get older and you have more assets to protect. I don't know what it is, or maybe it is a technological shift and I have to do less time talking about whatever my previous plan and more time understanding my current plan. But I have also found myself just feeling really overwhelmed and then thinking to myself, yeah, but I avoid things I'm overwhelmed by. Wouldn't it be more empowering if I understood them?
That's something I've thought about a lot because I have noticed that change over the years. So trying to understand what has influenced that change. And there's a lot of factors, but I think the biggest one is when the industry a few years ago, there was so much turmoil causing companies to go insolvent, pull out of the state, increase premiums through the roof. All of a sudden, people wanted to understand why they're paying this much premium and what are they getting for it? Why is this occurring? So now I think that played a huge role in starting the education process of coverage and carrying into even now a market that's softening, which is fantastic because we've already laid the base foundation of coverage and what it is. And now with more companies, again, starting to come back to Florida, there's more competition. So now we need this time to be able to say, okay, we've got option A for one premium, but they offer this, this, and this, and they don't offer this, this, and this. We got option. So yes, people are, but I think it's because of the previous years of paying so much.
Yeah.
And thankfully, as the market's softening, premiums are going down now. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. But
one of the only things that are going down now, right? God.
Yes. However, careful what you buy, just because it's the least expensive option on the table doesn't mean it's the best coverage.
Yeah. Yeah. And, to that point, we just kind of chuckled oh, yeah, this is one of the fewer things that is going down in price. But that actually, now that I think about it, has to be something that you have to be vigilant of, right? Because when consumers are being crunched everywhere else, groceries, obviously gas right now, literally everything in life, you can see the human sort of reaction to want to save money, right?
Yes.
Wherever you can. So how do you combat that? Yes, I hear you, I know, but listen, maybe not your best option.
Great question. And the answer would be, again, you get what you pay for. God forbid you do have a loss. Imagine having to cover it yourself out of pocket. So you want to make sure that you're with a company that doesn't have a tremendous amount of exclusions. But if it's your only option, at least it's important that you're aware of those exclusions. It's being aware of the deductible that you have on your policy so that, again, God forbid you have a loss. What is your out-of-pocket expense? But take insurance out of the equation altogether. Self-insure or go with a really stripped down policy. There's a very good chance that your out-of-pocket expenses are going to be so much higher. You're already struggling. That financial burden just, tripled right there. So, a lot of people feel like insurance, they pay all this money for premium and what do they get in return?
Mm-hmm.
There is a return.
And, to your point, though, that kind of guidance, you can only get as far as I know, from a person, right? Because we're talking about technology making things easier. You can filter into like Claude, ChatGPT, right? And you can say like, oh, these are the plans I'm looking at. Whatever, help me decide. And it can come up with numbers, right? It can help you compute, be like, well, this one's less, this one. Yes. And that can be helpful to a point. Yes.
Real life
exactly.
examples. It can't. I'm often asked, do I have any concern of this InsurTech industry eliminating the position that I'm in? Not at all.
Yeah.
Because you cannot take the human aspect out of this position. It is so crucial to have and educate. And I mean, you can go online, get insurance direct to consumer, quote online, bind online.
Mm-hmm.
But do you know what you just bought?
Right. No.
You realize when you have a claim and then it's too late.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned the question you get about like, oh, are you scared? Is AI coming for your job? Which I'm not laughing at. That is a genuine concern for a lot of people. I absolutely. But my husband and I were actually literally just talking about this. It was this week. It was the other day. And because he is a graphic designer, right? A visual designer, there are a lot of AI tools. And, I'm a marketer, but I also work with partnerships. And so he was like, oh God, what should I do? What should my job be when AI like takes my job? And I was like, you know what? I think you should be an insurance agent, because from what I'm seeing, like, yes, our tool takes off, like I said, the transactional, but it doesn't replace the person. It just means that the person doesn't have to write down numbers on a form anymore, right? The
Correct.
Computer can do that. They're having the conversations. And I was like, from what I can see, I think this is a position that is here to stay because people need people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's funny. I'm like, okay, you got to learn.
Back in the day, I was like, oh, I wonder if maybe I did get into the wrong industry, and
oh, interesting. What was your concern back then?
Well, as InsurTech,
okay,
that started coming. You can go online and get quotes, and I'm like, oh boy. But at that point in time, it was more selling cookie cutter, basic. You weren't having these conversations because you didn't have the time, because you're collecting data and information. You're not bonding as much with the client. So, it was more transactional. So that makes you kind of stop and think, did I get in the wrong industry? Or am I just looking at this the wrong way? Have I been possibly doing this the wrong way? Mm-hmm. And what can I do to make my position, my job, my career relevant, important, something that can't be eliminated?
It made you reflect, and that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Yeah. I like that you mentioned forming bonds. And do you have, I love to include like little success stories when possible. Is there like a client that sticks out in your mind when you think of forming a bond, right? Like having a long-term sort of relationship with a client, a customer. I also offer up an opportunity to share a time when maybe there was a failure, right? Your choice, but because I think listeners can learn from both. So is there just like a nice kind of, I don't know, like anecdote you could share when it comes to like forming that bond with a client?
There's so many different ways to form a bond with a client. And that's so important. We're in this industry. I have to be able to understand who you are, what is important to you, what you're looking to achieve, but with the insurance. So relationships are key. And the littlest comment of or information that they provide, something as small as, oh, I just moved here from Massachusetts. I was actually born in Massachusetts. That connection right there. Oh, you were? What part? that helps just create that initial bond with somebody. And I would say every client that I work with, that bond continues and continues to grow. I know that because the amount of business that I receive it's 100% referrals.
Yes.
I don't market
so important,
anymore.
right?
And that's because of the bond. That's because of the value I have provided them. So that's kind of proof in that concept that it all boils back down to a relationship. I will have somebody call me to ask me a question. I know I don't even have to pull their account up because I remember
I love
what
that.
company I wrote them with. I can't explain it. How do you know I don't even remember who I wrote my homeowners with, but my clients, absolutely, because my memory just instantly, and I'm like, okay, that creates that lifelong relationship. Separates me from working with other agents. Not only am I providing value, but it's relationship too.
I can see that. I can hear it, and like everything you're saying, like with your responses, is that it is so clear that like the customer and but the relationship part of it is at the forefront of everything that you seem to do.
To answer your other question, something that, where things took a negative turn.
Oh, I love to hear this. We can learn so much from this. Tell us.
I mean, everything in life you learn. If you're not failing at some point in time, how are you growing? So this industry, you work with so many different types of personalities. And, newer in the industry years and years ago, I kind of had that much, like I need to prove and more matter of fact. And well, I met a client prospect, I would say, and he was very strong-headed, strong-minded. And there wasn't that give and take. I met him back with force of, well, this is the coverage. This is, just, he went elsewhere.
Yeah.
And now that has helped me understand working with different types of personalities and adjusting to them. Because at the end of the day, they're not looking to be my best friend. My job is to be able to communicate and make sure that they're understanding. So one approach that I might take with one client is going to be different than, you can't treat people the same. You've got to be able to read people, understand, so that you can better communicate. Another great example is trying to send a policy or quote with coverages that default or you think they should have. It's not my policy. It's not my money that is paying toward that premium. So I never send out a quote without talking to my client to do a full, thorough coverage review and adjust it to their needs. Well, back in the day, it was all about send them out as fast as you can. You send out a quote, people instantly look at the bottom line. You lose a lot of business that way.
Yeah, they just get a alert. They got something in their inbox.
They're shopping other places too.
Yeah,
so they haven't bonded with me. There's no trust established. They're going to go with the lower quote they get.
Right.
They have no idea why it is the cheapest or least expensive.
Right. Yeah, because to your point, they don't understand it. They haven't been educated. Right. Yeah.
So that was a hard learning time in my life, but
essential, right?
Absolutely. And that's how I've changed my approach.
Picture this. You got a hot lead on the phone. They're ready for a quote, but then comes the dreaded question. Can you find your current declarations page and send it to me? Well, suddenly the momentum stops. They have to go digging to look for it. You have to wait. And that easy quote becomes a chore. It doesn't have to be this way. Canopy Connect turns that 30-minute scavenger hunt into a 10-second digital handshake. Your client just clicks your link, signs into their current carrier, and boom, you have everything you need to provide an accurate, competitive quote. It's bank level secure, SOC 2 compliant, and frankly, it makes you look like a tech savvy genius. Give your prospects the modern experience they expect. Join the thousands of insurance agencies leading the pack with Canopy Connect. Visit usecanopy.com/intake and see the difference for yourself, or just click below to find out. Canopy Connect. Insurance intake simplified.
You mentioned it a moment ago that you really need to learn about the other person. Not even just like, I think, well, two things are important. You said you need to read a person who you don't know yet, right? And be able to adjust and adapt. So there's a lot of interpersonal, right, skills, soft skills, right, that are required that a computer doesn't have, or whatever. And then also, but the next step is, once it's not just a prospect anymore, right? It's a client. It's continuously learning about them. I think about my insurance agent who did my homeowners, right? Who I love, Danny. But he, like I mentioned just offhandedly, I don't know, one time, that I hate getting on the phone, right? Like it is too hard in my day to find the time. And I'm just like, and it wasn't like, oh, I'm telling you, Danny, so you know. I like mentioned it offhand one time. And then from then on, he texts me and I'm like, thank you. Thank you. He just listened. I didn't say, make a note of this on your account. You know, like, I think I just like said it like offhand one time, and because it was a conversation about something else, but I love that he listened and he heard it and now he texts me.
Absolutely. Because communication is not always verbal. It can come in many different forms now. And it's trying to make this process, which can be very overwhelming for the consumer, let's try to make this as easy as possible. So using InsurTech technology like Canopy Connect to gather data so they're not looking for a declaration page.
Yep.
You know, what is this? What is that?
Oh, I was going to say, what's a deck page?
What's a deck page?
I didn't know.
Who do I contact for that? Does my mortgage have, and you're now walking them through. That takes all of that out of the equation now. It's such a game changer. But also it's, I don't know how to send an email.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can text. Do you have the ability to take a picture?
Yeah.
You can text.
Right. Yes.
Got to take advantage.
You can upload that easy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I've had clients send me inspections through Facebook Messenger. And I'm like,
how funny. Yeah.
Okay. That's a new one.
Yeah.
But look,
here we are.
Got me the information.
Yeah. Exactly. And rather than waiting, who knows how long to get them on the phone. Yeah. Cause like for someone like me, it's not going to happen, but I can respond to a text.
I'm always telling my clients, shoot me a text maybe first, because I'm on the phone all the time. And I want to eliminate that phone tag. That can be so frustrating.
Oh, yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
I want to have the conversation. I love talking with my clients, but I don't want to frustrate them with the back and forth of voicemails.
Right. Yes.
Send me a quick text if you have a question, and I respond back on a call. I'll be available in like 15-20. Perfect.
Yes, I know. That's what I mean, like with the texts, is I'm like, Danny, I'm never going to listen to a voicemail. Like, come on. But yeah, and so he's meeting me where I am. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
So it's getting to know your client, what works for them, and that's how you form that bond.
I know we have to wrap it up soon, but I wanted to kind of touch on, because we got a little bit of a view, like a scope of the changes and the sort of like metamorphosis of the industry since you've been involved, the past, what's going on now. Do you have any feelings or predictions or concerns about the future of insurance? Just to kind of give us a full scope. We've talked about the past, the present. Does anything excite you maybe about the future?
The excitement is the unknown of where it's going to go, because it is such an ever evolving industry. That's the exciting part. That's what keeps me on the edge of my seat all the time. And, I get emails with company updates and I'm like, oh, they offer this now, so concern. is not as much, again, as educating clients on coverages. However, the being able to go online and get quotes, we're losing those prospects because they're not aware of. So that's something within the industry that, I would hope to find a better way of making the consumer aware of
Right.
pros of working with a professional insurance advisor as opposed to going direct to consumer. Nothing, but you could be missing out. You don't know.
Yeah. I mean, and that's fair, I mean, and you can see that across like, not even just insurance, but like lots of industries, right? When everybody has the same technology, yes, it can be great in many ways, but there are definitely some pitfalls. Well, I love to hear that you're excited, because, not everybody is, right? Sometimes the unknown is scary to people. I'm not saying there's a right or a wrong way to feel, but I similarly feel like that in my industry, right, which is marketing, and it changes all the time, especially with technology. And I choose, at least now, to not be scared. I'm kind of excited. Like, well, let's see how I can adapt. Yeah, and learn different skills, or really, I would say, double down on the skills that I have. So I can relate to your outlook. And I guess for my last question, is there, because I do like to end it with any advice. So for our listeners out there, if they're in different parts of their career, maybe they're just starting out right now, maybe they're, mid-career, doesn't matter, but do you have any advice that you would like to share, if you could, from your experience?
My advice would be, and again, we were just talking about different ways to communicate, and yes, but your initial contact with a prospect, a referral, pick up the phone, introduce yourself, get to know who you're working with. It goes a lot further than just an email of, hi, my name is, I understand you would like insurance. So build that bond. It's going to go a lot farther than just one policy.
Yeah, because you know where it could go? To a job. You walked into that office.
Exactly. It's a conversation.
I think you're proof in the pudding.
Well, thank you. And I can't thank you enough again for the opportunity to speak with you today and share my knowledge and experience. And it's been a wonderful opportunity.
Thank you so much for joining us. And like I said, I'm learning so much right now from all of our customers. And I feel like I'm a student at the School of Insurance right now, and I really appreciate it. I'm enjoying it. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Collecting insurance information sucks for everybody. Long forms and even longer phone calls are frustrating for prospects. And still, you're left wondering if what they told you was accurate. Now, there's Canopy Connect. Simply send your prospect a link, they select their carrier, and sign in. That's it. In seconds, you'll get deck pages, policy information, claims history, and much more. Canopy Connect, the insurance data intake platform.